That's debatable. Yeah, running
Good times.
Sonic 2 runners. They're saying that someone's muted.
Yeah, are we muted?
The stream.
Feedback, yeah. I think it feels mic sport.
What about now? Does it sound better?
Yeah.
Yeah, my mic is actually messed up. Like the cord is messed up. I have to finagle with it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and it skips a really annoying pipe section at the end too.
Yeah, Knuckles would normally have to do what you would do in Sonic 3, which
Okay,
is just brake
I
and your speed a little bit better.
I muted and unmuted myself, so hopefully you can hear me now. Hopefully, I mean I'm seeing my audio pop up on OBS.
I hear it on the stream. I just
Yeah.
unmuted it and I hear you fine.
Good.
Oh wow, you do that jump like that? So normally what people do for that big jump is they'll actually just jump and like not hold anything, and then like halfway through the jump they'll do the speed cap.
Got tails to blast off.
The classic.
Yeah, that's the team rocket.
I love it when that happens.
I'll say, in that race last week, didn't you get like airwalking tails in one of the endings too?
Yeah, I think I did.
And 40 is pretty good. Target time there is usually 39, but you got to do some very tight jumps to get that.
Yeah, 40 is very solid.
Aquatic Ruin is one of those like really simple levels, but about like halfway through the level, like where the speed shoes are, things can vary a little bit. This game, you know, just like the other classic Sonic games, it has a lot of uneven ground, and Sonic games are they're very heavily physics-based. Obviously not real physics simulation, but, you know, enough that you can understand that if you're running up a slope with some speed and you jump off certain angles, you'll gain extra height and speed. And this level, because of like the bushes, you can't really see the angles, you can't really see the slopes, and kind of like it's like waves like up and down a lot. But fortunately, in this underwater section, he really doesn't have to worry about that. He can actually carry a lot of his momentum just from rolling like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a fairly precise jump. It's like a 3-frame window or so where I go for it. So I do miss it every now and then, but that allows you to carry your momentum over through that entire section instead of getting stopped like I did there.
Yeah, it's by no means free.
Are you gonna go for the one-framer here?
I got it!
Hey!
Yo!
Hey, there you go.
Hype.
So that's clearly a bug with the game and nice animals. So that's a one frame trick. Basically, if you hit him on a certain frame, like as he's about to swing the hammer, he just flies off the screen instantly. So instead of having to wait for him to stay on the screen for a few seconds and then leave, and then the screen unlocks, he actually just leaves right away, and the screen unlocks like instantly, so you can hit the capsule sooner. Saves a nice amount of time.
And also the animals turn on fire. Just
Yeah.
nice little side effect.
That's the important trick in the run is the fiery animals.
Casino Night 1 is very punishing. If you get off the top route here that AlecK's taking, you're losing at least 10 seconds from the optimal strats, and it's just not a fun time.
Yeah, I had some weird stuff happen there, but fortunately I've played this enough that I kind of know how to get through it.
Yeah, that's a solid save. Yeah, 35 off of that's a solid save.
Yeah, it's not uncommon to get 40 plus or sometimes even 50 plus if you mess that stage up.
Casino Night 2 very generous with the speed choose.
Yeah.
So this level is pretty simple, but certain things are. So you got the oh wow, so you got the manipulation on Tails there, but he didn't have
this guy.
It was so late that Tails didn't build up enough momentum to like actually follow Sonic.
And
so.
now Tails is glitched. Yo, and I saved the clip there.
Oh, nice. So yeah, if you position yourself correctly from bouncing there, you can actually clip right through the flippers, and it saves a little bit of time.
Yeah, I was late on the release and I knew it, so I slowed myself down a little bit and managed to get it anyway.
And this boss is actually kind of weird because for some reason the very first hit, Robotnik has just a crazy amount of invincibility frames, and it doesn't happen for any of the other hits. It's just that first one. So you hit him and then use your momentum to go to the left side and then get a nice jump, and it just works out with the timing. And at the end there, at the capsule, he actually looked up because for some reason Casino Night 2 is like the one level where you can actually make the animals despawn faster by shifting the screen upward, and it makes the transition a little bit faster.
Bad start
So
to
just
Hilltop 1, but whatever.
Saving the real time.
Yeah, what you're going to see here in a second is the first real instance in this game of something not quite looking right. You're going to see the little platform thing fall down, and AlecK's going to fall into the lava and then zip his way out of there, and he should be able to grab a ring out of that.
Nice, got the platform.
Yeah, the rest of the stage went well, but unfortunately, I
Nice subpixels on that slope.
Yeah.
So that last slope at the very end of Hilltop 1 can, if your subpixels are bad, it can actually just shoot you like straight up, and you won't have like enough momentum to get onto the loop.
Yeah, and you'll see more instances of that in Angel Island 2 coming up. Subpixels in a pipe really not being friendly.
I have a manipulation that almost always prevents that. Pretty simple. Okay, this should be the early cycle here. Nice.
Yeah, that is not easy to do. If you get early cycle in Hilltop 2, you know you're doing very well.
Nice, it didn't clip me through there. I was a little worried that I would, but it was just at its lowest point.
I'm happy to see you didn't do the roll there before the jump at the two yellow springs. A lot of people don't know this, but in classic Sonic games, whenever you do a roll jump, your hitbox actually changes to a standing hitbox as opposed to a regular jumping hitbox, which is smaller. It is a little bit different in Sonic 2 than in like Sonic 3, but you would bump into the spring if you jump at the wrong time, because it's kind of like just placed next to a wall, but when you jump, it treats the spring as a wall, and you just bump into it.
Yeah, and 57 is very good for Hilltop 2.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Now, Mystic Cave is kind of the break, quote unquote, of the run. It's not a necessarily difficult zone. It does have some tech, but it's much easier than the two zones that bookend it.
It's really fun too. I really enjoy
Yes.
Mystic Cave.
Yeah, it is very fun to learn and very fun to get good times at.
Mystic Cave 2 especially is kind of it's a bit easier than Act 1, although Act 1 isn't too bad either.
Yeah, 34 is solid. That's about what I typically get. Somewhere between 33 and 35 is typical.
So Act 2 being very famous for the pit, but we're not gonna see that because fastest route goes on the top.
Never even get close to it.
So there's absolutely zero risk of falling into the pit.
Yeah, solid stage there. Could have done things a little bit faster in one or two places, but I got to the boss at good timing. So then I just misread the pattern of the stalactites, so I shouldn't have been in the center there. I should have stayed right or gone left.
Yeah, dodging the stalactites is an art form sometimes.
Yeah, so like the stalactites are, it's a random patterns. It's not like each individual stalactite is random. So you can actually kind of identify based on how it starts. You can identify which pattern it gave you and then choose a position accordingly. Yeah, Ocean. This is in my opinion. Oh wow.
I thought I'd do an extra jump there to prevent that, but every now and then, just the way the mechanics work, it's kind of like a falling platform, and that extra jump I does kind of to reset it. But every now and then, it doesn't do that.
I don't know if it's placebo, but sometimes I think that the motion down below that one is different than the rest of them because I find it harder to get that one.
It can be different, I think. I was jumping too quickly there, so I by the end of there, I knew I wasn't going to make that fan jump. I probably could have and should have tried a short hop jump and then a full jump, and that might have worked, but I don't know. I was kind of going with a Knuckles jump timing there, although he does a different sequence of jumps. The timing of how soon you jump after hitting the oil with Knuckles is more like what I did there.
Well, it's also going to change based on your spin dash speed. So like if you get a slower spin dash speed, then you're going to be further to the left, and it's going to influence your jump position. Because you do have to start jumping quickly, because obviously the oil you're sinking. So spin dash speed is going to cause a slight amount of variance there. And this right here is like it's pretty much guaranteed. If you hit the spring at a certain point.
And to compound the error, oh man.
Forgot to walk forward. Oh man, that's unfortunate.
I was holding the direction, but I didn't hold it for long enough. I released it too soon, and I was like, crap. And so I jumped in, and then I jumped just close enough to the boss. I was going to try to, my initial thing was I was going to go. Okay, I didn't mess up the subpixels. What I was going to do is set up for an immediate bounce, but then I'm like, no, I don't know if I'm going to get the jump there like I want, and so I tried to bail, and I was too close. There we go. That's a bit of redemption, though.
All right, I got the one cycle.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of stuff happened in that level. So he activated a bug that lets him jump super high, and while that is active, if he hits that green spring a certain way, and then just releases his directional inputs, it sets up the subpixels perfectly so that when he gets into the wall, he can do a zip and then just get a very easy level wrap. After that, it's just nice. You have to position yourself away from the wall, because if you face left and try to spin dash while you're next to the right edge of the screen, Sonic actually doesn't go anywhere. And that's something they fixed in Sonic 3, but in this game, he'll just basically be glued to the edge. And then you just gotta roll and then time your jump correctly. And if you do that, you can beat Robotnik before he goes back into the oil.
And I'm doing the safe version here and rolling down this nut because otherwise missing this trick would be death, and that would lose the 40-some seconds. Oh man, I didn't get a good spin dash out of that. But I would have gone right back to the beginning of the levels if you don't hit any signposts or checkpoints. Still got a minute flat, so that's not bad.
Yeah, a not so subtle thing about Metro 1 is manipulation of Tails. You see AlecK doing things like making sure that Tails is on the ground, making sure that he's going up the nut on the bolt with you, and that's not easy. Tails does not play along sometimes.
Yeah, he really can do some just really silly things for no apparent reason.
Yeah, but like Tails' inputs is based pretty much on what you do at the very start of the level. So I find it helps to not do the spin dash immediately, because if you do a spin dash like as soon as possible, Tails actually does not follow you. But if you insert like a very slight delay, he'll actually be able to keep up. So that's one way of manipulating Tails' position, and then the rest is just your movement. If he gets lost, like fails to keep up, then it's gonna change like the sync of when he comes back, and then you gotta kind of adjust. And speaking of positions, you actually do have to kind of finagle your position a little bit here, because the AI Tails does not mirror Sonic's movements completely. It's not like identical, so you have to kind of maneuver in a way that will get him into the position you want. And then you want to try and get onto this edge. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to pause the game right when the platform starts to descend. The idea... Oh, nice. He got it.
All right.
That took me a little longer than it usually does, but I got it.
So the idea there is Tails, if you do your inputs a certain way, Tails will walk off the platform before Sonic does. Sonic is actually still on the platform. And the platform is programmed to descend when a character walks off of it. Or jumps off. So
Really.
because Sonic is still on it, he partially clips into the wall, and you can use that to zip to the left. You then have to let go of the direction at a certain moment, and it'll give Sonic the perfect speed to do the level wrap.
I was early on that second spin dash, so I took an extra cycle, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is a hard boss to optimize. You kind of can't see it, but he's trying to position himself to where when he releases a spin dash, he hits one of the capsules and immediately destroys it, then gets a second hit, and then opens up a third one, so it should be 2 cycles if he does it right.
There's also like a very fast way of doing it that's kind of precise.
Yeah.
It basically keeps Robotnik on the ground for almost the entirety of the fight, and you can basically finish it much quicker. But it's kind of a precise setup to do that.
Yeah. I've done it for a part of the fight by accident, and that's actually how I got my ILPB of a 43, by getting a first try level wrap and then that. But yeah, now we have a 2 minute 6 second auto scroller. 2 minutes 5 seconds as Knuckles for whatever reason.
So he's up there in the top left, but that's not exactly a safe spot. This is not Sonic Adventure.
Yeah, this isn't let's take a bets on GDQs about how far a controller moves. You actually have to do some things in this level.
Yeah, you can avoid a lot of enemies like that, but there are some enemies that will go up there, so you can't go make yourself a sandwich or anything like that. And yeah, auto scrollers. You actually can die here if you spin dash too quickly. Sonic will fall off the plane and die.
Yes, it is very possible to die here, and it's very embarrassing, especially in races.
And there's the thing where if you stay on the right edge of the screen and spin dash, you basically glue to it. That's what happened the first time in Oil Ocean 2 at the boss. Also, that cloud looks like a guy's face.
It does.
I noticed that when I was a kid, and it has never left my brain.
Some things you just can't unsee.
Can't unsee it. So it's actually possible to get a 205 here if you do a really crazy risky strat, but nobody really ever goes for that.
No, but
You have to
this
do
game,
like a spin dash and then jump on a certain frame in order to gain the speed to go off the screen at 205. But if you do it wrong, you get a straight jump and you'll die instead.
yeah, this game is timed in-game time, but people aren't looking for the free second there. There's other places you can get time.
Yeah. If you get to that point on good pace, you just want to finish the run, basically.
Yes, because this level Wing Fortress is not a give me.
Alright, so you got good platforms there. Those platforms are actually based on a power on timer, so the cycle is not going to be the same necessarily once you get there. Sometimes you have to wait a little bit longer. It just depends on when you started the console.
Yeah, sometimes you can be waiting there 2 or 3 seconds, and that's not fun at the end of a run.
So what you're seeing here is he activated something called slope glitch, and slope glitch basically lets you maintain the angle of whatever slope you last landed on. So you can like be in the air and you have the angle of that slope.
Look
So
up.
he uses it to
Look up.
he uses it to get into a certain position near where the boss is gonna become active, and if you manage the objects correctly, it's based on like the way the objects are like loaded in memory. But if you do it correctly, you'll be able to crouch out of that slope glitch, which normally the game does not let you crouch. And then you just hold the spin dash and get all the 8 hits like that.
Yeah, and shoutouts to Cresm for basically going into the assembly of the game and finding new strats for us to be more consistent of that. That is a really helpful thing that we've had in the past year.
No, Final Flame, I'm not going 12-0. Also, for the second time in the run, I messed up my initial spin dash, so I'm not even going to get a 50.
Yeah, that's actually something that doesn't happen in Sonic 3.
Yo!
Yeah!
I got it! I finally got it in the
man.
marathon. I've wanted to do this
Wow.
for so long.
That's what you want, though.
Yeah, it is.
You want to show that.
That's why I
That's
had...
a soft lock.
I was gonna mention it like as soon as he's going out there, like, hey, you could do this. Ask Big John about that. But,
So basically, if you hit Silver Sonic on a certain frame when you defeat him, the game doesn't know how to handle that. So he just turns into like his rocket shoot flames, and that's it. You can't continue the game. There's also another frame where if you hit him, instead of like fiery explosions, it'll be animal explosions. Oh, are you gonna? I saw you stand there. Are you trying to fake us out? It's like standing in a position where normally you would try to do the 12-0, where you would. There's actually a way to defeat this boss before he goes off the top of the screen, so you don't have to wait. But it's extremely risky, and of course there are no rings here, so.
That's just always where I stand, so...
Okay, it did look like the 12-0 like start position.
Alright, so... with the fade out, that's it. 23-47.
GG.
Thanks. Yeah, that was the 10-2. That's what I typically get. So, with
It would have
that...
been perfect if the second time we saw the animal explosions.
Yeah, that would have
Yeah.
been nice.
Yeah, I've gotten the animal explosions, I think, once in a marathon. That was pretty fun. And when the credits go here, I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
So yeah, for most runners of most video games, normally a soft lock is the last thing you want to see in like a marathon run. But for Sonic 2, it is actually the goal.
Yeah.
It's more important than finishing the game.
I got that, and I